The living room was packed with family. Party morning at my parents' house always drew a crowd, but this year felt different. Mom had been building up the big surprise for weeks, dropping hints about magical gifts and unforgettable experiences during our weekly phone calls. She'd mentioned it at Thanksgiving, again at my nephew's birthday party, and every time I'd picked up the phone since. My daughter Emma sat on the floor near the tree, her eyes bright with 7-year-old excitement. She'd worn her favorite red dress, the one with the white collar, and had barely slept the night before. She loved parties at Grandma and Grandpa's house, even though I'd noticed over the years how differently they treated her compared to Jessica's children. "Gather around, everyone," Mom announced, pulling out a stack of envelopes from behind the couch. "Your grandfather and I have something very special this year." Dad stood beside her, grinning with the kind of pride I remembered from Jessica's high school graduation, the one where I'd sat in the audience watching them beam. "We've been planning this for months. Every grandchild is getting an incredible gift." My sister Jessica bounced on the couch, her 3 kids already reaching for the envelopes. Her friend Diane sat beside her with her 2 children, who'd apparently been invited to share in whatever this was. I found that odd, but I'd learned not to question my parents' choices when it came to family gatherings. "We're sending all the grandchildren to Disney World," Mom declared. The room erupted in squeals and applause. 5-day passes, hotel included. This spring break. One by one, Mom handed out envelopes. Jessica's oldest son, Matthew, got his first. "Oh, Matthew, you're going to love Space Mountain," Mom gushed, hugging him tight. Then her daughter Sophie. "Sophie, darling, we made sure to get the princess breakfast reservation." Then her youngest, Tyler. "Tyler, buddy, your grandpa already downloaded the Disney app so you can plan everything." Each envelope contained tickets, hotel confirmations, and spending money. The kids screamed with joy, already planning what rides they'd go on first. Jessica pulled out her phone, immediately texting the news to her husband. Emma scooted closer, her small hand gripping my sleeve. I could feel her anticipation radiating off her in waves. She talked about Disney World for 2 years, ever since Sophie had shown her pictures from their last trip, the one my parents had secretly paid for without telling me. Mom moved to Diane's kids next. "And because you're practically family," she said warmly, handing envelopes to Diane's 8-year-old son and 6-year-old daughter. "We couldn't leave you out. You kids are so well behaved and we just love having you around." Diane smiled, looking somewhat embarrassed but accepting the envelopes anyway. "That's so generous of you both. The kids will be thrilled." My daughter's face fell slightly, but she maintained her smile. She was next. He had to be next. There were no other children in the room. Mom turned toward us, then looked down at her empty hands. "Oh." She glanced at Dad with an exaggerated expression of surprise. "Oh dear, we ran out." The room went quiet for a heartbeat. "We ran out of tickets," Mom repeated, looking at Emma with a sympathetic smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. We must have miscounted." Emma's smile disappeared. Her hand tightened on my sleeve. "But don't worry," Dad added quickly. "I'm sure you'll have fun doing something else during spring break. Maybe your mom can take you to the local park or something." Jessica's kids were already comparing their envelopes, too excited to notice the tension. Diane had the decency to look uncomfortable, but she said nothing. "Actually," Jessica chimed in, "this worked out perfectly. The rest of us were worried about having an odd number anyway. 7 kids would have made the room arrangements complicated." "Exactly," Mom agreed, looking relieved. "Sometimes these things just work out for the best." I looked down at Emma. Her eyes were wet, but she was biting her lip, trying not to cry in front of everyone. My chest tightened with a familiar ache. The same feeling I'd carried since childhood, watching Mom give Jessica the bigger gifts, the new clothes, the graduation party I never got. "It's okay, baby," I whispered, kissing the top of her head. "Why?" she whispered back. "Why don't they want me to come?" I had no answer that wouldn't break her heart further. Mom was already moving on, asking Jessica about dates and flights. Dad was showing Matthew pictures of the hotel pool on his phone. Diane's kids were jumping on the couch and nobody told them to stop. I pulled out my phone, keeping my expression neutral. My hands were steady as I opened my email and found the confirmation from Royal Caribbean, the retirement cruise I'd booked for my parents 6 months ago. 21 days through the Mediterranean, departing in 3 weeks. Presidential suite. All excursions included. Total cost, $42,000. I clicked on the booking reference, navigated to the cancellation page and selected Cancel Entire Reservation. The confirmation popped up immediately. Cancellation processed. Refund issued to my account within 7 business days. I slipped my phone back into my pocket and wrapped my arm around Emma. Want to go get some hot chocolate? I asked softly. She nodded, wiping her eyes. As we stood to leave, Dad's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and frowned. It's Royal Caribbean. That's odd. He answered, walking toward the kitchen. Hello? Yes, this is Robert Martinez. I guided Emma toward the hallway, but his voice rose, stopping us. What do you mean canceled? We didn't cancel anything. Pause. No, I certainly did not request a cancellation. Another pause, longer this time. What do you mean we never paid for it? Someone else booked it? Who? Mom appeared in the kitchen doorway, her expression shifting from confused to alarmed. I don't understand, Dad said into the phone. Just reinstate the booking. Use our card. Pause. What do you mean it's not available anymore? The presidential suite was reserved months ago. He pulled the phone away from his ear, staring at it in disbelief. They said someone named Sarah Martinez booked and paid for our entire cruise as a gift. And that the same person just canceled it 20 minutes ago. Every head in the room turned toward me. I kept my expression calm, reaching down to take Emma's hand. Sarah. Mom's voice was sharp. What is he talking about? I booked a retirement cruise for you, I said quietly. As a surprise for your 35th anniversary next month. I canceled it just now. You canceled a $42,000 cruise? Jessica stood up, her voice incredulous. Are you insane? Why would you do that? Mom demanded. I looked at Emma, then back at my parents. Because my daughter just watched you give Disney tickets to everyone except her, including children who aren't even family. And I realized I was tired. Tired of what? Dad set his phone down, his face reddening. Tired of funding your retirement while you treat my daughter like she doesn't exist. The room went silent. Even the kids stopped talking, sensing the shift in atmosphere. Mom laughed, but it sounded forced. Funding our retirement? We've been saving for decades. Your father worked 30 years at the plant. Have you? I pulled out my phone again, opening my banking app. I navigated to the payment history screen and turned it toward them. Should I call the mortgage company? The one where I've been making your house payments for the last 4 years? $3,800 a month. That's $182,400 total. Dad's face went pale. He sat down heavily on the arm of the couch. Or maybe I should call Toyota about the 2 car leases in my name, the ones you're driving? That's another $1,200 a month combined. $57,600 over 4 years. Sarah, wait, Mom started, reaching toward me. The health insurance premiums I've been covering since you both retired early at 58? That's $2,000 a month for both of you. $96,000. The country club membership you use 3 times a week? $18,000 annually. The lawn service that comes every week? The bi-weekly cleaning service that deep cleans this entire house. I scrolled through my payment records, my voice steady. Want to know the total? Over 4 years, I've paid $437,000 to maintain your lifestyle. Jessica sat down slowly. You've been paying for all of that? Every month for 4 years. Since I sold my first company. You all thought I was still working as a dental hygienist because I never corrected you. I kept my voice level, matter of fact. I actually sold my dental software startup to a major healthcare corporation for $18 million. The software that streamlines patient records and billing. I bought 2 more companies after that, merged them and sold the combined entity last year for another $43 million. I'm doing fine. Mom's mouth opened and closed. She gripped the back of the couch for support. You never said anything. You never asked. You just assumed I was still struggling. The daughter who barely made it through community college while Jessica went to the university you paid for. The one who got a full-ride scholarship you still talk about at every family dinner. I paused, looking at each of them. But I kept paying your bills anyway because I thought family was supposed to help family. I thought maybe if I did enough, gave enough, you'd eventually see me the way you see Jessica. That's not fair, Jessica protested weakly. We've always loved you. Isn't it? When was the last time you invited Emma to Sophie's birthday party? Or included her in your family photos? The ones you post all over social media with captions about your perfect family. I looked at my sister directly. I pay your car insurance too, by the way. $1,400 a month for 3 vehicles. And your kid's private school tuition. Montessori Academy costs $45,000 a year per child. That's $135,000 annually. Did you think Mom and Dad were covering that on Dad's plant pension? Jessica's face drained of color. My phone buzzed. I glanced at it. That's the mortgage company confirming I've removed myself as the account holder. You'll get a notice in a few days about the first payment being due. It's $3,800 a month if you've forgotten. Sarah, please, Dad said. We can talk about this. We could have talked about it before you humiliated my daughter on party morning. I picked up Emma, who wrapped her arms around my neck. Before you gave tickets to Diane's kids but not your own granddaughter. We didn't have enough, Mom said, but her voice lacked conviction. You had 7 envelopes. You gave away 7 sets of tickets. You just didn't want Emma to have one. I headed toward the door. I'm done pretending that's okay. Where are you going? Jessica stood up. Home. And then Emma and I are going to book our own trip to Disney World. First-class flights. Deluxe resort. Park hopper passes. Just the 2 of us. I opened the front door. Unlike some people, I actually enjoy spending time with my daughter. Sarah, we can fix this, Dad called out. I turned back one last time. The health insurance lapses at the end of this month. The club membership cancels tomorrow. The cleaning service is already notified. You'll have to figure out the rest yourselves. You're being vindictive, Jessica said. No. I'm being done. I looked at Emma, who was watching me with wide eyes. Sometimes people show you exactly who they are, baby. And when they do, you believe them. Mom rushed toward us. We'll include Emma in the Disney trip. We'll order more tickets. That's not the point anymore. I shifted Emma's weight in my arms. The point is you had to be forced. You had to lose something before you even considered including your own granddaughter. That tells me everything I need to know. As we walked to the car, I could hear raised voices inside the house. Dad was on the phone again, probably trying to understand how much money they actually owed each month. Mom was crying. Jessica was yelling about her kids' tuition. I buckled Emma into her car seat. She looked up at me with those serious eyes that were too old for 7. Mommy? Are Grandma and Grandpa going to be mad at us forever? Maybe, I said honestly. But that's their choice, not ours. Are we really going to Disney World? Just us. We absolutely are. Would you like to invite some of your friends from school? Her face lit up. Really? Really? We'll take 4 of your friends and their parents. My treat. It'll be way more fun than going with people who don't want you there. She thought for a moment. Can we get the ears? The ones with the sparkles. Every single pair you want. As I drove away, my phone started ringing. First Dad, then Mom, then Jessica. I let them all go to voicemail. Emma turned on her playlist and we sang along to her favorite songs, her voice getting stronger with each mile we put between ourselves and that house. 4 years of mortgage payments. 4 years of car leases, insurance, and country club memberships. 4 years of Jessica's kids' tuition and my parents' comfortable retirement. Not once had they said thank you because they never knew. And maybe that was partly my fault for never telling them. But watching them deliberately exclude my daughter, watching them hand tickets to virtual strangers while Emma stood there empty-handed, that clarified everything. Money wasn't the issue. It never had been. The issue was that they'd never seen Emma as equal to Jessica's children, and they'd never seen me as equal to Jessica. My phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. Mom's having a panic attack about the mortgage. How could you do this? I didn't respond. Instead, I called the travel agent I'd used for the cruise. Hi, this is Sarah Martinez. I'd like to book a Disney World vacation. 10 people total. Your best package. Money's no object. In the rearview mirror, I could see Emma smiling, her earlier tears forgotten. She was already planning which rides to go on first, which princesses she wanted to meet. And for the first time in 4 years I felt lighter. Not because I'd hurt my parents or Jessica, but because I'd finally stopped carrying the weight of trying to buy their love and respect. Some prices are just too high to pay,